Hi, everybody. So this presentation will be in English as well. However, I did watch a lot of Arabella as a child, so I can say, ahoy, jak se mate? And that's unfortunately pretty much it. So I am one of the founders of StoreSense, where we use Wi-Fi networks to track how people move and use that data to provide insights for retailers, brands, event organizers, exhibitors, and others. But before we get started with what, I want to spend a few words on why and how. Why do we want to track how people are moving? Well, the answer is simple, and most of you, I think, already know it. Because the more we know about our customers, the more value we can create for them, and of course also for us. Companies like Google, Netflix, Amazon, and others have known this for a long time. But it's really easy to track what people are doing when all of the footprint of the interaction is digital. It's much harder to do it in real world. You need real world technologies to do that. So what do these technologies need to have? What is the criteria that they're useful for that? Well, first, you must have a big enough reach. Self-explanatory, right? The more people we can track, the better. Okay. It must be accurate. If we want to see how people are moving, we need to know where they are. And thirdly, we've heard about privacy today. So once we move into the realm of actually tracking the movement, we must be really careful about how we track it and what we do with that kind of data. So our technologies must be able to provide at least some basic level of privacy so that we can reassure the people. When we started developing StoreSense 2 years ago, we looked at all the possible technologies, and this is how they compare. So for example, iBeacons, really cool, right? Yes, but in order for iBeacons to work, people must have the application installed, and not only one application, an application for each retailer or for each brand, and that will never happen, which is why we fixed on using Wi-Fi, because that allows us the largest reach. We can track around 2/3 of people, and we actually already see that today as well, because we have a very small demo running, and we're tracking around 300 people right now in this room. Okay, that's it with the theory. Let's get started. This is one of our stores in Romania. It's a rather big store. It's around 12,000 square meters. On the right, you can see the demo spot. It's darker because this picture shows dwell time by departments. So the longer somebody stays in a department, the darker the color. This is the way StoreSense looks in real life. Small white boxes. We can even connect to existing Wi-Fi. And this is how StoreSense sees the store. So these are all the journeys for one day in one picture. The thicker the line, the more visitors pass there. The darker the color, the quicker they're moving. And we can also show the direction of travel, which means that your ads can be positioned the right way. Now, I sometimes hear that we are the Google Analytics for the real world, and that's true, but it's not true. So yes, I do admit we have a lot of dashboards like Google Analytics has, but what we have discovered is that people usually don't have the time to look at dashboards. Dashboard for each store, for each brand, every time, 10 times a day. Nobody wants to do that. So we developed a feature we called Insights. The point of Insights is to do this work for you, to surface interesting data so you don't have to dig through the data yourself. So the first insight I want to show you is in-store advertising insight. So we look at the way people are moving through the store, and we pinpoint the best positions where to place the advertisement so that most people will see it. Now, this chart shows the best positions for the whole visitors. But we were working with Diageo a couple of months ago, and they were only interested in visitors to their aisle, so to the beverages aisle. And we can do that as well. So we can run these analytics not only on the store as a whole, but on any kind of subset of the visitors that can be discerned by the way they move. Funny thing here, by the way, once we limit our tracking to beverages only, electronics turns out to be a really good place to advertise. I will not say my theory on why that's that, but I think that you know why. Resting areas, we can look at the way people are moving and see where they stop for a bit and suggest that they place a couple of chairs there. on the right, if you remember, was the demo spot, and our system correctly found it. Connected departments, also really cool. So while loyalty programs enable you to find connections between purchases, that only measures what somebody has put in the basket. But what about everything that did not put in the basket? Did they not put your product in the basket because they didn't see it? They did not go to that department. Was it too expensive? If you look only at the purchase data, you can only see the end result of their customer journey, of what's going on in their heads. But we can look at the way they actually move. So quick quiz. What do you think are the two most connected departments for this store based on visits? And I'll give you a hint, nobody has ever guessed this. It's pets and clothes. Why? I don't know. But once you start tracking movement, this kind of patterns start to surface. That means that you can start thinking about co-marketing, finding reason about why that's that, why it's going on. Perhaps they were featured on a flyer. Does this pattern change through time? So a whole new layer of data becomes available to you. I know that you're all hungry, so I will just quickly show you 2 more features and then bring this to a close. If you want to know more about us, I'm sitting over there. We also have a small demo running here, so I'll be happy to give you more details. Low traffic zones, again, self-explanatory, parts of the store that are seeing the least traffic, and rushing visitors. So the only private data that we know about the visitors we're tracking is the ID of their smartphone. We use that to combine a record of their journey. But even that, we delete that data within 24 hours. So all of our analytics works based on anonymized paths. We have no information about the visitors, and we forget everything as soon as we can, because we want to respect the privacy of our visitors. Because all of us are also shoppers, right? So by protecting their privacy, we protect our privacy. Another confession to make, sometimes I can read minds, and I think that I can hear what you're thinking. And you're thinking, Jan, okay, level with me. If this really works the way you say it works, why isn't this everywhere? Well, first of all, good question. 2 reasons. First, the technology has only recently reached the level where this is feasible. First, because there were not enough smartphones, and secondly, because the Wi-Fi networks were not good enough at pinpointing the location. That has changed. But secondly, because up until now, store layout optimization was something that was happening every 3 to 5 years, right? A retailer would decide on a new layout, they would hire an outside agency, they would prepare new layouts, and the retailer would deploy it all around the store. But now, what you can do is you can optimize store layouts constantly. You can even adjust store layouts to the specific visitors to that store. And that requires a big change, not only in the way we think about store layouts, but also in the way we work, in our business processes. And that is a big challenge. So here's my question to you. Are you ready for that challenge? Thank you very much.